I think this is not only obviously the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career, but in a career that's filled with almost nothing but huge fights, this is the biggest fight of Canelo Alvarez's career.
A lot stronger, and I think he's going to have better endurance. Not being able to boil himself down like that, and even though it is a huge jump, I think we lose sight of the fact of how much he had to boil down and how gaunt he looked at 140.
You said you don't think, or you don't look into the weight difference. Why?
Well, you know how to box. When you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much.
As anticipation builds for the explosive clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, Max Kellerman delivers his final take on the matchup. Joining Netflix's elite broadcast team for this historic event, Kellerman brings his trademark sharp analysis and deep historical insight to what many are calling one of boxing's most significant showdowns.
A great chin. But in terms of, if you want to go skill for skill, especially the recent version of Canelo, who's had to turn into a seek and destroy guy, who had to learn as his career went on to cut off the ring and not just follow guys around. Like Lara, Trout, Floyd, he followed those guys around. He had trouble because he's really a natural counterpuncher who wants you to come to him. But in recent years at super middleweight, he's gotten really good at cutting off the ring. Again, last fight notwithstanding. So as an overall suite of skills, recent vintage, it's been Crawford. Okay. But Canelo also is skilled and has a larger skeleton than Crawford. No matter what they weigh, Canelo's the bigger guy.
Yeah. Kellerman doesn't hold back, declaring Canelo versus Crawford the most watched championship fight in nearly 50 years. He draws comparisons to Muhammad Ali's legendary rematch with Leon Spinks in 1978, which attracted an astounding 90 million viewers. With Netflix carrying the fight, Kellerman insists this isn't just another blockbuster, it represents a seismic shift in boxing's reach and business model, far surpassing traditional pay-per-view limits.
But where would you rank this fight out of your top 3 to 5 of all the boxing fights you've called, you've experienced, you've watched?
In terms of the magnitude of the fight? Yeah,
the magnitude, yeah.
I mean, of the fights that I've called ringside, it might turn out to be number 1. I've done Pacquiao fights, I've done Mayweather fights, I've done Anthony Joshua against Klitschko, those are big fights, but listen, because of Netflix, this will be the most watched fight, championship fight, in almost 50 years. This is going to be because Muhammad Ali fought Leon Spinks in the rematch in '78, and they did 90 million TV sets, 90 million. And since then, what has even come close? The biggest fights have all been on pay-per-view, and they do 2 million buys. Oh my God, 4 million buys, Mayweather, Pacquiao. As I keep saying, if 5 people per TV set watch, that's 20 million people. This is going to do multiples of that. So, so when you look at it from a commercial point of view, it'll easily be the biggest boxing event I've ever covered.
UFC President Dana White recently confirmed that Kellerman will return to the broadcast booth for Netflix's official coverage of Canelo vs. Crawford on September 13, 2025. The veteran analyst, best known for his ESPN and HBO runs, will join John Onek and Hall of Famer Andre Ward in calling the action live from Allegiant Stadium. At a press event, Kellerman described the fight as the perfect storm, praising both Canelo and Crawford as 2 of the rare fighters considered pound-for-pound number 1. He noted that throughout boxing history, only about 25 to 30 men have earned that distinction, and now 2 of them are colliding in the same ring.
I want to bring up the first member of our broadcast team. He is the best boxing analyst in the sport. Ladies and gentlemen, Max Kellerman.
All right, so I know you guys are excited about this fight, but I don't think you understand what a big deal it is. This is a perfect storm, First of all, Turki Al-Sheikh, we're lucky he happens to be a boxing fan. None of this happens if he doesn't happen to be a boxing fan. It's just none of us are here. Nick Khan, the best in the business. Dana White, Dana White is the greatest combat sports promoter of my lifetime. And it's his first ever boxing promotion. So that's who's behind what you're going to see. You know who's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world? The most recent one. Bud Crawford. Apologies to the monster and Usyk. Bud Crawford has my vote for best pound-for-pound. Who was the best pound-for-pound before Bud? Canelo Alvarez, universally recognized that way. But it's not just these two guys, the last two best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. There haven't been that many. Before Canelo, who do you have? Before Canelo, Floyd or Andre Ward, Floyd Mayweather. Before, you could take the lineage back. There have only been, I don't know, 25 or 30 fighters who ever lived who you said that's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. These are two of them, the last two. And they're going to fight in Las Vegas on September 13th. Canelo is 62-2 with 2 draws, 62-2. So was Marvin Hagler when Sugar Ray Leonard moved up to fight him, and they produced one of the biggest spectacles in the history of boxing. This fight is a perfect storm. I could not be more excited to be a part of it.
Former world champion Timothy Bradley Jr. predicts a chess match in round 1. Instead of fireworks, he expects both fighters to proceed cautiously, using the early moments to gauge timing, rhythm, and distance. Bradley points out that Crawford excels at setting traps while Canelo uses the opening rounds to make adjustments, suggesting fans should expect a slow burn before the action truly ignites.
His punching power as well. In the beginning, it's all the position balance. Like, both guys are trying to get balance and trying to find their rhythm. Understanding their distance to where they can punch and at the same time avoid getting hit. It takes Crawford a little bit more time than I would say Canelo to get right to it. Canelo, although he is a prolific counterpuncher, fantastic counterpuncher, he tends to find his spots a lot quicker. And the indication of that is when, if you look at any of the boxers that Canelo has faced, Trout, even Danny Jacobs, even when he fought against Charlo, you just check out the first round. He usually takes off, just feels the power, cruises, see what these guys know, couple of feints, level changes, gathering information, right? Crawford does the same and similar things. So I think the first round's going to be a real, calm and cautious round by both fighters. But in the second round, Canelo's going to start applying that pressure, man. Pre-engagement with Crawford is a little bit more difficult than a Charlo, okay? Let me explain this. So pre-engagement is the movements before you get into that sweet spot, which is mid-range, to be able to let your hands go, right? Both guys are trying to counter each other's movement. Both guys are looking at each other's, hands, trying to anticipate what they believe is going to come next. During those periods right there, Crawford is one of the best at it, okay? Because he's smart, he's cerebral. Like, a fighter to a fighter, we can feel when another fighter is like, oh, he's on my rhythm.
WBC lightweight champion Shakur Stevenson remains firm in his prediction. Terence "Bud" Crawford will not only beat Canelo but may even stop him. Stevenson highlights Crawford's speed, ring IQ, and southpaw versatility, claiming those tools give him a decisive edge. As far back as 2021, Stevenson has insisted that Crawford would cook Canelo, and he's doubled down ever since, framing Crawford as the logical favorite in this high-stakes battle.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
Yeah. You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's physically kind of big, but height wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so. No, I think that's possible. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that bud could crack too. So.
Crawford's unanimous decision win over Israel Madrimov at 154 pounds was more than just another victory. By capturing the WBA junior middleweight title in his divisional debut, Crawford became a four-division world champion and the first male fighter of the four-belt era to achieve undisputed status in 2 weight classes. Against the physically imposing Madrimov, Crawford proved his skill set translates across divisions, neutralizing size and strength with precision, patience, and adaptability. This victory confirmed that Crawford isn't merely surviving at higher weights, he's thriving.
August of 2024, he spent from 2018 until August of 2024, right? 6 years at 147, okay? And he's had 8 fights at 147, all knockouts. And 1 fight at 154, which was a unanimous decision over Israel Madrimov. So you can make a case he's actually a welterweight jumping to 168. But he did make a pit stop at 54 and became a champion. So we have to acknowledge that because that goes into his accomplishment bags. That makes him a 4-division champion. So the concern is Terence Crawford jumping up in weight. This is a weight class that Canelo Alvarez has now been in since 2020. He's been at this weight for 5 years when he made his debut against Caleb Smith. But remind you, he fought against Danny Jacobs at 160 in 2019. Then in November of 2019, he jumped to 75 and fought Sergey Kovalev, then came back down to 68. So it's doable, right? But with that said, everybody's concerned with the weight and how Terence Crawford puts on the weight. So let's explain it. As you see the new photos that Terence Crawford has leaked, Terence Crawford has lean bulked. Okay, as you see here, Terence Crawford there, right? He has lean bulked. Okay, he put the bulk on in his weight, in his legs, and in his shoulders to be able to take the punch.
Trainer Dave Caldwell praises Crawford's unique style, particularly his ability to switch stances seamlessly and use footwork to control range. Caldwell believes Crawford's movement, often overlooked, could frustrate a pressure fighter like Canelo. If Crawford maintains mobility and avoids being trapped, Caldwell argues, he has the tools to outmaneuver Canelo and rack up points.
When the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think it's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic. His punch picking is fantastic. He's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him and just. But when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down. His feet have never been the fastest, but he's always had good placement of feet. His feet aren't the fastest. And he loads up. And he don't really like boxing at a pace. So I kind of look at that and I think Crawford can manage his way through the fight to win it on points. I think he can manage moments, tough moments. When Canelo detonates a big shot on him, he's going to know about it because Crawford's been hurt before. And Crawford gets hit. He does get hit. That's why he's exciting. But he does get hit. So that means that Canelo could land on him. I just think that Canelo will land a bomb and Crawford knows enough to tie up, to get off at an angle.
Veteran trainer Teddy Atlas underscores Crawford's unmatched mentality, stating that he hasn't learned how to lose yet. Atlas credits Crawford's speed, defense, and adaptability but insists it's his mental toughness, his refusal to accept defeat, that truly separates him. That psychological edge, Atlas argues, allows Crawford to rise to the occasion and perform at his absolute best when pressure peaks.
Crawford, his composure going to be like the moment a punch lands on him from Canelo?
Are you kidding me? Take that question back.
Yeah, why?
Because you're talking about Crawford.
Yeah.
He's the
weight classes.
He's the most composed guy. Yeah. What, you don't think he'll be prepared? You think it'll be a shock to him? No. You think it'll be, oh my God, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. That ain't happening with Crawford. Yeah. He knows exactly what he's getting himself and why. He's the one looking for it. He don't have nobody with a gun behind him saying you got to go do this. He's the one. And look, it's a tremendous challenge because Canelo's a tremendous fighter and bigger and strong, and he can obviously he can punch and he can time you, and he can do all the things that have made him so special. There's no doubt about it. But we're forgetting about those things I just talked about with Crawford just because he's smaller. We're forgetting that. He'll come up with a game plan where he won't let the other guy use his side. Do you remember somebody named Manny Pacquiao when he was making his bones, the first time he hit the big stage? He got all these great fighters here. It was with a guy named Oscar De La Hoya, a hell of a fighter. And everyone said, oh, it'd be too small for him. And then I said, I got to say, I got one right. I said, how about Manny's going to be too fast for him? Oh, Teddy, guys, how about he's going to be too quick? How about he's going to be like a couple of those mosquitoes and gnats at a barbecue and disrupt the whole damn barbecue? How about that? Well, how about Crawford disrupts the whole damn barbecue?
Addressing doubts about Crawford's composure under Canelo's power, Atlas dismisses them outright. He reminds fans that Crawford actively sought this fight and knows exactly what he's walking into. While acknowledging Canelo's greatness, his timing, power, and elite skill set, Atlas argues critics are underestimating Crawford's ability to neutralize size advantages. Drawing parallels to Manny Pacquiao's shocking win over Oscar De La Hoya, Atlas suggests Crawford could similarly disrupt the whole barbecue.
It's just a fact. Canelo has fought the who's who. Sure, were all of them in their prime? No, but that's not his fault. He moved up in weight to fight some people. He sought out difficult opponents and matchups. You know, the same way we're like, oh, Floyd didn't necessarily fight some of the best names in his resume at the best time in their career. Not his fault. Floyd went up and sought people out. So Canelo's sitting there like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And he's pretty much the only guy that can really say that right.
I feel I'm the best, and that's it. I don't focus on if the people say or put me in the first position, I'm the best. I feel I'm the best. I'm doing it because I love boxing.
I call Canelo out because, like I said, he the last great fighter amongst the era that surpassed us. This is my mega fight. This is my moment.
You didn't have much interest in this Crawford fight. You were saying that there wasn't much in it for you, and you pointed out that people will say that he was too small. What changed?
I think he's one of the best fighters for more fun. No, he accomplished a lot of things too. Mexican with the American fighter is always big.
When he fights you at Allegiant Stadium,
Canelo's like, I knew the money was crazy. That's why he's like, yeah, I knew that the Mexican fighter versus the American fighter. Canelo can draw Allegiant Stadium. That's what it is. I mean, yes, there's the element of greatness involved as well. But Canelo knew he was getting a bag for this. Canelo knew that Terence had to do all the difficult stuff. Let's be honest about it. This is why I favor Canelo in the fight.
For Max Kellerman, this bout is the defining moment of Canelo's career. Despite already securing a Hall of Fame legacy across multiple weight classes, Kellerman stresses that nothing compares to facing an undefeated technician like Crawford. The outcome, he says, will either elevate Canelo to untouchable status or leave lingering questions about whether he could overcome the sport's ultimate test.
One thing about Canelo is he's been in a million big events. And I'm going to ask him about this just between you and me when he gets here. Don't tell him. But has he ever been in a bigger fight than this one? Is this everyone knows this is easily the biggest fight of Terence Crawford's career. But has he ever been in a fight as big as Canelo Alvarez, who's been in a million huge fights? Floyd Mayweather, that was huge and that was Floyd, but he was young then. He was young and he wasn't going to be in front of, 50 million people worldwide. Because this ain't a pay-per-view. This is available to everybody. I think Triple G, those were big fights, but not like this.
What do you think? Is Canelo versus Crawford the most important fight of this era? And who do you believe has the edge? Share your predictions in the comments below.